Today, we're looking at a house at 2 Little Street, Mosman. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom residence that captures sweeping harbour views across Balmoral and out to the heads. This is a well-maintained home holding a prized elevated position in one of Mosman's most desirable streets. It's a charming home that works well as it currently stands, but I think it presents a compelling opportunity to completely reimagine, to refine and rearrange the spaces to suit modern living. So without further ado, let's get into it and dive in. Welcome to Reimagining Houses. I'm Ross Serrano, I'm a registered architect, and this is how I would reimagine this house. Now, to get our bearings, we begin as always in the heart of Sydney CBD. As we head north via the Harbour Bridge, we pass through the lower North Shore, travelling through Neutral Bay, Cremorne, until we reach Mosman. We finally land at number 2 Little Street here. The property sits high on the hill above the water's edge at Balmoral, one of Sydney's most beloved harbour beaches. Looking at the broader landscape, number 2 Little Street sits on the high side of the street, with the site sloping upward from street level toward the west. The position here is genuinely special. Eastern views across Balmoral and out toward the heads, beautiful morning light, and a strong northern aspect throughout the day. The slope of the site is not merely a constraint, it's one of its most interesting qualities. As we move through the design, the ambition is to consolidate the levels and simplify the planning, to navigate the slope in a way that feels natural and considered, with each space finding its own relationship to light, topography, and those harbour views. Before we progress, a quick recap of the rules for the design exercise. Rule number 1, it's an odds and adds project, so we have to work with the existing. And rule number 2, we have to maintain or improve upon the special program of the house. Good? Let's keep it moving. The existing site plan. North points in this direction, and east points in this direction toward the harbour and Balmoral Beach. So naturally, our sun will travel this path across the site, gaining morning sun from the east and sun from the north throughout most of the day. Little Street sits to the east here, with the house enjoying elevated views toward the bay and out to the heads. The site slopes up from east to west, from street level up toward the rear of the site. This change in level is one of the most defining qualities of the site, along with its eastern and northern aspects. The ambition here, as we move through the design, is to consolidate the levels and simplify the planning, navigating the slope so that each space creates a meaningful relationship with light, landscape and topography, and the harbour. The existing garage floor. At street level, there's the 2-car garage, which I think is good and can remain as is. As we move up through the various floors, you'll see the stair location differ in plan at each level. At garage level, it's here, and at ground floor level, the stairs are roughly around here. So my first obligation is to start thinking of ways to consolidate the stair run throughout the house and potentially introduce a lift somewhere around here. Then there's this storage room, which I think can be utilised for something better. There's space here perhaps to introduce a dedicated wellness zone, a gym, a sauna, a bathroom, tucked away neatly behind the garage. For a home of this calibre in a suburb like Mosman, this kind of amenity feels both appropriate and very desirable. The existing ground floor. Generally speaking, the layout here has a solid foundation, but the spaces could benefit from some rearranging to allow us to introduce some new spaces at this level. The stairs could be consolidated in this area of the plan, and the lift core introduced somewhere here. This then creates an opportunity to establish a self-contained guest suite around bedroom 2 with ensuite here, and the bedroom here with direct connection to the front terrace. Now, because the lift will be located in this area, the existing bathroom here will need to be relocated, which could go here. And to make this work cleanly, it makes sense to shift bedroom 3 eastward, aligning it with the front of bedroom 2 to completely square off the northeastern corner of this floor plate. Bedroom 4, along with the cellar, comms, storage, study, and laundry, I think are all fine where they are. What I'm finding here is that the house is inherently operating as an upside down home. Bedrooms at this lower level, living above. It's a smart move for a site like this, where views and northern light are best captured from height. The opportunity isn't to reinvent that idea, but to refine it, rearranging the rooms more carefully and making the planning work much better. The existing first floor. This is where I think the clearest opportunity for improvement lies. Starting with the stair, it'll remain in its current location here, with a new lift introduced somewhere around here. Having established that, let's turn to the living spaces on this level. The existing lounge here is generous in its size, which is a great starting point. The issue, however, is its shape. It's long and it's narrow, making for an awkward living experience. One option would be to carve out part of the room here and create a new outdoor terrace that takes advantage of the northern aspect. The remaining space to the right could then become a more practical family room with access to northern light and views toward the east. There's also an opportunity to extend the rear of the house here into the backyard. This could create enough space to relocate the kitchen to this position and introduce a proper walk-in pantry alongside it. We'd also be able to incorporate a new powder room here to service the entire floor. The extension can then accommodate a new dining room here, while the space currently occupied by the kitchen could become an additional living area here. Together, these spaces would open directly onto the alfresco terrace and landscape backyard, creating a much stronger connection between the house and garden. Another issue to keep in mind is the split level arrangement here. It adds unnecessary complexity and creates a disconnect between the spaces on this floor. Bringing everything onto a single level would greatly improve the flow and functionality of the house. It would require some reshaping of the rear landscape, but the improvement to the plan would make it well worth it. Looking at the existing property, the house sits confidently on the site. It's well maintained and its elevated position is immediately apparent on arrival. As it stands, the house is functional, comfortable and perfectly livable. However, both the exterior and interior are beginning to show their age and would benefit from a significant upgrade and refurbishment. There is definitely room for improvement here, with opportunities to enhance the amenity of the internal spaces, establish a clearer hierarchy throughout the home, and better capture the elevated views eastward toward the harbour and Sydney Heads. With that in mind, let's cue the design montage. Ladies and gentlemen, number 2 Little Street Mosman, Reimagined. The proposed garage floor. I've retained the 2-car garage in its existing location, along with the existing driveway. Behind it, I've introduced a new dedicated wellness suite, a gym, sauna, and bathroom tucked away neatly behind the garage. The gym space here is flexible. It could just as easily become a home theatre or could return to being a storeroom. It's a versatile zone that responds to whoever is living here. For vertical circulation, a new comfortable staircase is located here, following the same stair pattern in the floors above. A new lift is provided at this location here, offering easy access to the upper floors, particularly useful when carrying groceries or heavy items from the car to the living or bedroom areas above. I've designated this external area here as the new bin store, and the existing front gate here is retained, providing a considered arrival sequence from Little Street. The proposed ground floor. Working with the already established upside-down house arrangement, the aim here is to refine and rearrange the private quarters so the planning is cleaner, more resolved and better connected to the site. The front terrace here provides a generous welcoming entry from Little Street. Bedrooms 1 and 2 sit to the north, each with built-in robes and sharing a well-appointed bathroom. Bedroom 3 is positioned to the south with its own ensuite, and with direct private access via the front terrace, it functions as a fully self-contained guest suite with its own sense of arrival and independence. The laundry is tucked alongside the lift, and the office sits close by, flexible enough to serve as a study, nursery, or utility room as the family needs evolve. Plant, store, and cellar rooms sit at the rear here, keeping the living spaces above free of clutter. To the west here, we have a rear terrace that extends from this level. It's a covered undercroft area beneath the first floor kitchen above. Sheltered and intimate, it becomes a secondary outdoor living space with a quieter, more private character than the expansive areas above it. The proposed first floor. This is where the design truly comes alive. Following on from the floor below, the existing stair is retained here, while the new lift landing at this level is located here. The primary move on this level is the westward extension to the southwestern corner of the plan here. Creating more space here allows the opportunity to relocate the kitchen to the south here, the dining room to the west, and the new living room here to occupy the northern end where the existing kitchen used to be. This gives these spaces the generosity and breadth they deserve. A new walk-in pantry sits adjacent to the kitchen, while a powder room is discreetly tucked away behind it, completing the functionality of the house at this level. One of the key opportunities created by this westward extension is the ability to remove a portion of the existing floor area and introduce a new planter into the centre of the floor plate on the northern side here. Carved from what was previously part of the existing living space, this intervention allows additional northern light to penetrate deep into the house. It also breaks up what was once a long, awkward room into a series of more varied and purposeful spaces. As a result, the living area now benefits from natural light from multiple directions, including morning light filtering through the new planter. A new hall 4 is also created, linking the eastern and western wings of the floor plate. More than simply a circulation space now, hall 4 has the potential to become a room in its own right, accommodating a daybed, library or media nook, creating a more intimate space for quieter occupation. To the northeast, a new family room occupies one of the best positions in the house. It's warm and generous in scale, anchored by a fireplace, with direct harbour views through the existing balcony to the east. The master suite remains in the southeastern corner here, retaining its sense of privacy and separation from the rest of the house. The plan has been reorganised and the suite shifted slightly eastward to square off this portion of the floor plate, allowing for a more generous bedroom, walk-in robe, and ensuite. To the west, a large entertaining deck with a built-in barbecue extends the living spaces outdoors. Beyond, the lawn and pool rise with the natural topography of the site, creating a layered landscape that steps gently up behind the house. To simplify the overall arrangement, The rear portion of the floor here has been raised to align with the eastern wing finished floor level, consolidating what was previously a split level condition into a single unified floor. The landscape has been reworked accordingly, with a series of terraces stepping naturally up the site toward the rear boundary. The proposed east elevation on Little Street. The architectural approach here draws from the character of the existing home and responds to the broader qualities of Mosman and Balmoral, layered, verdant and quietly refined. The facade reads in 2 registers. At ground level, rough cast render and earthly stonework ground the building, heavy, tactile, rooted in the slope of the site. Above, the first floor rises in dark timber detailing, bronze window frames, and an aged copper roof with standing seam finish crowning the composition. Across both levels, rhythmic timber detailing laid with operable Venetian blinds, timber screening, and patterned stonework give the facade real depth and texture, interacting with light and shadow as the day moves. The house feels always changing, always animated. Moments of greenery are woven throughout. Planters at each level softening the architecture so that from the street, the house reads as much as a garden as a building. The landscaping here isn't decorative, it's part of the architecture itself. Overall, this reimagining transforms a well-maintained Mosman home into a truly exceptional residence, one that responds directly to the qualities of this elevated sloping site. The design works with what is already there, refining and rearranging the spaces to suit contemporary living and making the planning work much harder for the opportunities the site presents. The garage floor becomes a dedicated wellness level, with a gym, sauna and bathroom. The ground floor is given over to the private quarters, 3 well-appointed bedrooms, a self-contained guest suite with private terrace access, an office and a sheltered undercroft terrace, a secondary outdoor space with its own distinct character. The first floor is the heart of the house, and where the most significant planning work has been done. The split level is consolidated into one unified floor. The rear extended westward to accommodate a generous open-plan kitchen, dining and living, along with the pantry, lift and powder room. A first floor planter floods the middle of the plan with northern light, breaking what was once a long, narrow room into a sequence of purposeful spaces. A family room with fireplace and harbour views, a daybed nook and media space within Hall 4, and an open living area, all connected, each with its own character. Beyond, a deck with barbecue extends westward to a rear lawn and pool that rise naturally with the topography of the site. Architecturally, the proposal is layered and considered. Earthy render and stonework at ground level, dark timber detailing, bronze screens, and an aged copper roof above. Rhythmic timber screening and Venetian blinds add depth and shadow across the facade, while landscaping woven throughout every level softens the architecture so the building feels as though it belongs to the hillside. Ultimately, this reimagining is an exploration of what it truly means to live well on a sloping harbourside site, to work with the land rather than against it, to refine what is already good into something genuinely great, and to let the topography, landscape, light and water shape every experience of daily life. As always, thank you for tuning in. That was 2 Little Street Mosman Reimagined. I've been Ross Serrano, and I'll see you in the next one.